Welcome to Sonic Bros. Today I will go over Chuck E. Cheese's and Rock-afire walk-around suits prototypes. So, any guesses at what this thing is? Time's up. Well, if you didn't guess correctly, and if you did, well, congratulations because it's a clown. This was a prototype Chuck E. Cheese's clown walk-around head. And why does this thing exist? It doesn't even look like human like. It looks like a dog. Because I think this was a retrofit Jasper walk-around head that Chuck E. Cheese's did. So yeah, I find this costume pretty weird. And I literally have no clue why this thing even exists. So yeah, Chuck E. Cheese made this clown walk-around suit. And it went up on eBay a while ago. Here's another picture of it. But I don't know why the heck this thing was even made. It's just so weird in my opinion. Like, why even make it? I'm just so confused on so many levels right now. Just why? So yeah, this is a very bizarre walk around suit. Probably the strangest of all of them, honestly. And then here's a picture of the suit in good condition. Next up is a prototype bird walk around head. And you might think this is Helen or this is a warblet. Well, I thought it was a warblet, but it's not. Well, I don't know what the heck. Why does this thing even exist? We can tell it's some type of bird, but to me, the shape of the head, and if I shut my eyes, I can picture it as being Chucky almost. The shape is just very similar of Chucky's head. Am I the only one who thinks it's a retrofitted Chucky walk around head? I think this is a prototype head, but who knows? It could be like a homemade finger made for another place. But I think this is a retrofit probably. Or I think it's a prototype because it sells a prototype in the listing. In this picture, the clown looks like it came from a Chuck E. Cheese's. So yeah, why does this bird walk around even exist? I'm just so confused. These aren't even Chuck E. Cheese's characters. A clown and the bird. They have no clowns in Chuck E. Cheese's first of all. And Pasquale is the only human, and there's two birds. Helen and the warblets. Well, I guess it's four birds because the warblets are free birds, and then Helen is a bird. But still, I'm just pretty confused about this walk around head. And their hair kind of looks like Madame Oink's hair, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't really know. So Cowan Costumes, who makes CC and some showbiz costumes, they made this Helen Henny walk around suit. And it's actually a really good looking costume if you compare it to the animatronic. It really isn't too bad for like being this prototype costume. I wish I could use this because it's actually such a good looking costume. And it was using show tapes. So yeah, pretty cool. Next up is this very interesting looking Chucky costume. I'm not sure why this costume exists, but it's still really cool. Well, it looks like a plushie of Chucky to me. It looks like they took a giant stuffed animal of Chuck E. Cheese's and then they turn him into a costume. This this kind of looks like Avenger Chucky, kinda, or it could be the late '80s Chucky always. But who knows why they made this costume even? And by the way, there is another prototype Chucky walk around that's pretty similar to this one. And here's a picture of it real quick. Okay. So creative engineering made Rock-afire explosion walk-around heads. Well, that might sound normal, right? Like they kind of had to for showbiz to be like similar to Chuck E. Cheese's, like that same kind of idea, you know. And why? And why not have a mascot? Because they're fun, and stuff like that. So they made these ones, but they were articulated walk-around suits. That means they can talk. So they made a Mitzi one, a Billy Bob one, a Fat Sam Billy Bob one, and they also made a Beach Bear one as well. So yeah. But the price for these costumes was over $9,000, which is crazy, I know. I wonder how much that is in today's money, even. Who knows? But most stores did not want to pay the high price for these costumes. So yeah, which is way too much for these costumes. But they were very high tech, and I bet it would be worth it. But yeah, stores didn't want to pay too much because they paid a lot for the show, paid a lot for the normal walk-around suits. They have to pay for these new high-tech ones. And also, maintenance must be tricky on these guys. And one of these costumes still exists. It was used for the cheese convention, a showbiz and Chuck E. Cheese's convention. And now back onto the Helen suit. She was using this weird live show. This couldn't have been a grand opening, or what the heck is this even? But there's Chucky, Helen, Billy Bob, and Mitzi, which I find pretty interesting. But the one that we talk about the most in this picture is Helen, because she's the most obscure walk-around suit. But still, this costume I just find super interesting. And what was this event even? Where was this picture taken? I'm just so confused, honestly. But yet, this costume is really nice. Yeah, it's a really nice looking costume. And there was tons. It was using quite a bit of show tapes. And 2025 pictures from Kellen Costumes warehouse from a few years ago shows a mold for the prototype Helen walk-around, which in more detail in this picture, I can tell they took some time on that costume because it looks like the balcony stage bot of Helen, in my opinion. They just look alike. So this is really good costume, in my opinion. And I wish that they use this costume more because it's such a nice costume, in my opinion. Very cool. So, in 1974, Nolan Bushnell dreamed up of this place where it had pizza, arcade games, and some sort of entertainment, but they didn't want to pay the entertainers too much, or make them too stressed out. So instead they used mechanical but entertainment because Nolan Bushnell wanted to become an Imagineer at Disney. So he figured to be similar to Disney, they would have a mascot. So they had this character named, it's unknown what his name was, but he was supposed to be a coyote, and his name got changed to Rick Rat, which, who wants rat in the name of a pizza place? Then it became the Big Cheese, but that was copyrighted by Marriott Hotels, and then they figured the name Chuck E. Cheese because when you say Chuck E. Cheese, it forces a smile. So here is the Rick Rat costume. So he's very different yet very similar to Chucky at the same time. He has a very fat pink stomach, and he's just very shaggy as fur is. So yeah, this costume was just very interesting. But it is really similar at the same time. But Nolan Bushnell follows a coyote until he saw the tail, which, maybe. But the buck teeth, maybe not. So yeah. But this costume still exists in CEC's corporate offices to this day, and this costume was used at multiple theme parks in Casa Bonita, which is a Mexican restaurant, and they had the Chucky walkaround. I mean, the Rick Rat walkaround being used there. So pretty interesting. This costume was used for multiple purposes. Besides the Rick Rat concept. So yeah. And this was used for another place, not Chuck E. Cheese, but I figured this would be a pretty cool picture to show. Like a drawing of this theme park's characters, I assume this was a theme park or some type of entertainment place. So yeah, this is not a Chuck E. Cheese's picture, it's just a picture of like the Rick Rat character. And yeah, this guy is pretty interesting and really cool. And he kind of invented Chuck E. Cheese's, like he kind of made Chucky himself. So yeah, very cool. So these are all of the prototype Chuck E. Cheese's walk-around suits I will go over in showbiz. So peace out.